Welcome back, my dear viewers. We are going to another exciting and mind-blowing video where we uncover the hidden treasures that might be sitting right under your nose, inside your pocket change, or tucked away in a forgotten drawer somewhere in your home. Today, we're talking about a coin so fascinating, so mysterious, and so unbelievably valuable that it has stunned coin collectors and historians all over the world. Yes, I'm talking about the 1976 Liberty Dime from the United States, a coin that looks just like any ordinary 10-cent piece at first glance but is rumored to be worth a staggering $102 million because of its rare minting errors, mistakes, and mint mark anomalies that make it one of the most extraordinary coins in American numismatic history. Now, imagine holding a simple dime, a coin most of us barely notice in our change, and realizing it could be worth enough money to buy luxury homes, exotic cars, and even private islands. It might sound impossible, but the 1976 Liberty Dime has a story that proves that sometimes the smallest things can hold unimaginable value. So sit back, relax, and let's take a deep dive into the mystery, the history, and the unbelievable facts behind this one-of-a-kind coin that has captivated the coin collecting world for decades. The year 1976 holds a very special place in American history. It was the year of the United States bicentennial, the 200th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. It was a time of pride, celebration, and national unity. The U.S. Mint was working hard to produce millions of coins to mark this monumental year. While special bicentennial designs were created for the quarter, half-dollar, and dollar coins, the dime remained unchanged. The familiar portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt continued to appear on the obverse, just as it had since 1946. But even without a special design, something extraordinary happened at the Denver Mint that year, something that would later lead to the creation of one of the rarest and most valuable dimes in history. The Roosevelt Dime is a small but powerful symbol of America's post-war strength and resilience. It features Roosevelt's left-facing portrait with the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" and the date below. On the reverse, it shows a torch representing liberty, flanked by an olive branch symbolizing peace and an oak branch representing strength. Simple, elegant, and iconic. But sometimes, even the most ordinary designs hide extraordinary secrets. In 1976, the Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of Roosevelt dimes marked with the small D mint mark. Most of them were perfect, ordinary coins that circulated widely and were used in everyday transactions. However, one particular dime stood out for all the wrong, or rather, all the right reasons. This was the 1976 Liberty Dime that displayed an unbelievable series of minting errors, unique characteristics, and mysterious features that made it one of the most valuable coins ever discovered. Let's start with the most incredible fact about this coin: the metal composition. The 1976 dime was supposed to be made from a copper-nickel-clad composition, a pure copper core sandwiched between two layers of a copper-nickel alloy. However, the coin in question was found to be struck on a 90% silver planchet, a leftover blank metal disc from 1964 or earlier, when U.S. dimes were still made from silver. This alone makes it a numismatic miracle. The silver planchets should have been completely removed after 1964, when the mint transitioned to the copper-nickel composition due to rising silver prices. Yet somehow, one of these old silver planchets found its way back into the minting process in 1976, more than a decade later. Experts believe that a stray silver planchet might have been lodged inside one of the minting machines or accidentally mixed in with newer materials. When the die struck it, the result was a 1976 dime that had the weight and shine of a silver coin but carried the date 1976, a combination that should not exist. This accidental creation instantly made it one of the rarest U.S. coins in existence. But that's not all. This extraordinary dime also had a prominent double die error on its obverse side. Under magnification, you could clearly see doubling in the word liberty, in Roosevelt's profile, and especially in the date 1976. The doubling was strong and crisp, a clear sign of a true double die strike, not just a mechanical shift. A true double die error happens during the die making process, when the design is impressed twice on the die at slightly different angles. Each coin struck from that die carries the doubling, making it a major collectible feature. For collectors, this is like finding a fingerprint of the minting process itself, frozen in metal. In addition to the double die feature, the mint mark on this 1976 D dime was another mystery. The D was slightly misaligned and appeared repunched, meaning that it had been struck more than once by the hand punch used to apply mint marks in those days. During the 1970s, mint marks were still added manually to each die. That means human error could result in mint marks that were slightly tilted, doubled, or placed in odd positions. In this particular coin, the D appeared higher and slightly slanted, a detail that made it stand out from all other dimes of that year. Collectors refer to this kind of anomaly as an RPM, or repunched mint mark, and when found on a coin with other major errors, it sends the value soaring even higher. Adding to its mystery, the reverse of this particular dime also exhibited unusual characteristics. There were slight die cracks running across the torch and the olive branch, signs that the die was under significant pressure or had worn down during production. These small imperfections may seem insignificant, but in the world of coin collecting, they add character and prove authenticity. They are the subtle details that make a coin truly unique. What makes the 1976 D Liberty dime even more fascinating is the near-perfect condition in which it was found. Experts describe it as being in mint state, possibly graded MS68 or higher, with brilliant luster and virtually no signs of wear. That means it was likely never circulated. It may have been set aside by accident, or kept unknowingly in a roll of dimes for decades until its discovery. When a rare error coin like this remains untouched and perfectly preserved, its value multiplies many times over. But how did this particular coin reach the incredible estimated value of $102 million? To understand that, we have to look at how the numismatic market works. Coin collectors place immense value on rarity, demand, historical significance, and condition. A one-of-a-kind coin that combines all these qualities can command astronomical prices. In this case, the 1976 D dime's combination of being struck on a silver planchet, having a double die obverse, a repunched mint mark, and pristine condition makes it the perfect storm of numismatic rarity. When word of the coin's existence began to spread, it created waves of excitement among collectors. Some initially doubted the story, believing it was impossible for a 1976 dime to exist on a silver planchet. But metallurgical testing confirmed the coin's composition, and high-resolution photographs revealed the unmistakable doubling on the date and inscriptions. Soon, experts began calling it one of the greatest modern coin discoveries in U.S. history. The coin was eventually authenticated by top grading organizations, which verified its uniqueness and graded it as one of the finest examples ever seen. Once the coin hit the auction market, collectors from around the globe began to bid aggressively, each hoping to own a piece of numismatic legend. The bidding soared beyond anyone's expectations, crossing tens of millions of dollars before ultimately being valued at around $102 million. While the number sounds almost unreal, it's a testament to the incredible passion and financial power within the coin collecting community. What makes this story so captivating is not just the value, but the mystery behind how this coin came to exist. Some experts theorize that a few leftover silver planchets might have been intentionally kept and struck as test coins, possibly as a mint experiment during the bicentennial period. My great history lovers, now in the second history, we're diving deep into one of the most astonishing stories in numismatic history, one that will absolutely leave you amazed: the story of the 1995 P Liberty dime from the United States, a coin that is said to be worth an unbelievable $98 million. Yes, you heard that right, a single dime, with a face value of only 10 cents, carrying a potential value of $98 million because of its rare minting errors, mysterious characteristics, and unusual mint mark details that have turned it into one of the most extraordinary coins ever discovered. Imagine holding a simple dime, the kind of coin we use every day, and realizing that it might be worth enough to buy mansions, luxury cars, or even private jets. That is exactly what makes this 1995 P Liberty dime such a captivating and legendary piece in the world of coin collecting. It represents how a small mistake, or a rare anomaly during the minting process, can turn an ordinary coin into something truly priceless. So let's dive into the incredible details behind this fascinating coin: its history, its origin, its minting errors, and the mysterious factors that make it worth more than most people will ever earn in a lifetime. The 1995 P dime belongs to the long-running Roosevelt Dimes series, first introduced in 1946. The design was created by John R. Sinek, featuring the left-facing portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse, along with the inscriptions "Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust," and the minting year, in this case, 1995. Below the date sits the small mint mark P, representing the Philadelphia Mint. The reverse features a torch in the center, symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch representing peace and an oak branch for strength. Together, these elements perfectly express America's ideals of freedom and resilience. The 1995 dimes struck at the Philadelphia Mint were part of the millions of coins released into circulation across the country. To the untrained eye, they all looked identical. But within that massive production, a few coins slipped through with characteristics so unique that they would eventually become the most sought-after era coins in the modern era, and among them was the incredible 1995 P Liberty dime that would later stun the coin collecting world with its unbelievable value. The story of this coin begins like many others, with a small, seemingly insignificant error at the mint. But the combination of multiple minting mistakes and unexplained variations make this particular dime one of a kind. The first and most important feature that sets it apart is that this 1995 P dime was struck on a completely different planchet than it should have been. Instead of being made of the standard copper-nickel-clad composition, which consists of a pure copper core sandwiched between layers of copper-nickel alloy, this particular dime was found to have been struck on a silver planchet, similar to those used for dimes before 1965. Experts believe that this happened when a leftover silver planchet from decades earlier somehow got mixed into the production line at the Philadelphia Mint. This kind of error, known as a wrong planchet strike, is among the rarest and most valuable in the world of coin collecting. When metallurgical analysis confirmed that the coin contained over 90% silver, collectors knew that this was no ordinary dime. In fact, it was a historical anomaly, a coin from 1995, long after silver was removed from circulation, struck on a planchet that should have been extinct. But the surprises didn't stop there. This 1995 P dime also exhibited a dramatic double die obverse error. Under magnification, clear doubling could be seen in the word Liberty, the motto "In God We Trust," and even on Roosevelt's profile. The date 1995 showed noticeable doubling as well, making it one of the clearest examples of this kind of error in the series. A double die error occurs during the die-making process, when the design is impressed twice onto the die at slightly different angles. This creates the illusion of a doubled image when coins are struck using that die. Collectors love these errors because they are like accidental signatures of the minting process, unique, accidental, and impossible to replicate. Then there's the mint mark. The P on this coin is not quite what it seems. Careful examination revealed that the mint mark appeared to have been repunched, meaning that it was struck more than once in slightly different positions. During the mid-1990s, mint marks were still hand-punched onto the dies, which left room for human error. A repunched mint mark, known as an RPM, is a highly collectible feature, especially when combined with other major errors. On the 1995 P Liberty dime, the P appears slightly doubled and off-center, making it even more distinctive and further proving its uniqueness. To add to the list of fascinating details, this coin also displayed a faint broad strike error. This means that it was struck outside the retaining collar that normally shapes the coin's edge. As a result, the coin's diameter was slightly larger than usual, and the rim appeared weaker and more spread out. The absence of the usual reeded edge, the small ridges that you can feel along the edge of a dime, gave it a smooth, flat surface that stood out immediately to anyone familiar with U.S. coins. Every one of these features, the silver planchet, the double die, the repunched mint mark, and the broad strike, could individually make a coin valuable. But when all of them occur together on the same coin, the rarity and value skyrocket to unimaginable levels. It's no wonder that experts have called this the perfect storm of minting errors. The coin's discovery story is equally fascinating. According to reports, the coin was found by a coin roll hunter who had been searching through thousands of dimes from various banks. At first, it seemed like an ordinary find until its unusual color and shine caught attention. When weighed, the coin was slightly heavier than a typical dime, a strong clue that it was struck on a different metal. After professional examination, the truth came out. It was a 1995 P dime struck on a silver planchet, with visible doubling and a unique mint mark. Word spread quickly through the numismatic community, and collectors immediately recognized its importance. Once verified by leading grading authorities, the coin was graded at an exceptional mint state level, believed to be around MS69, nearly perfect, with its original luster, sharp details, and no visible wear. The combination of pristine condition and multiple mint errors pushed its estimated value into the tens of millions. When it was finally presented for private auction, the bidding quickly escalated, eventually reaching an astonishing estimated worth of $98 million, a record-breaking figure for any modern U.S. coin of its denomination. But what makes this story even more intriguing is the mystery surrounding how this coin came to be. The Philadelphia Mint in 1995 was operating under tight quality control systems, making such a complex error highly unlikely. Some experts suggest that this coin could have been part of an experimental test run using older materials. Others believe it might have been an accidental mix-up, where an older silver planchet somehow ended up in a modern batch of copper-nickel blanks. And there are even conspiracy theories suggesting that it might have been deliberately struck by someone inside the mint as a secret creation, a phenomenon not unheard of in U.S. mint history. Whatever the cause, there's no denying the historical significance of this 1995 P Liberty dime. It bridges the gap between the old silver era of U.S. coinage and the modern era of Clyde coins. It's a time capsule of sorts, a tiny piece of metal carrying the fingerprints of both history and human imperfection. The appeal of this coin goes beyond its errors and rarity. It also represents the excitement and unpredictability of coin collecting itself. Every collector dreams of finding that one extraordinary coin that changes everything. The story of the 1995 P dime reminds us that such miracles do happen. It teaches us that even in the most common objects, there can be extraordinary secrets waiting to be discovered. Collectors who have seen the coin describe it as breathtaking, not just for its shine or composition, but for what it represents. Now we go to another third exciting and truly mind-blowing video that's going to leave you questioning every coin you've ever seen. We're diving deep into one of the most astonishing stories in the entire history of American coins, the story of the 1996 Liberty dime from the United States. A small piece of metal with a face value of just 10 cents, but an estimated worth of nearly $97.7 million because of its mysterious minting mistakes, rare errors, and one-of-a-kind mint mark variations that make it one of the most valuable dimes ever known to exist. Imagine holding a simple dime in your hand, something so common, so ordinary, and then realizing that it could be worth enough money to change your life forever. That's exactly what makes this 1996 Liberty dime so extraordinary. It's not made of gold, it's not a commemorative coin, and it's not studded with jewels. It's just a regular dime that went through an extraordinary sequence of accidents during its creation. Those tiny imperfections, those almost invisible differences, have turned it into a numismatic legend, one that has stunned collectors, historians, and coin experts across the world. Let's begin at the start of the story, the year 1996. The United States Mint was celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Roosevelt Dime design, which was first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt. The dime's design, created by John R. Cynic, featured Roosevelt's left-facing profile on the obverse with the words Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the year of issue. The reverse carried a torch symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch for peace and an oak branch for strength. The design was simple, elegant, and patriotic, an enduring symbol of American resilience. In 1996, millions of Roosevelt dimes were struck across the U.S. Mint facilities, including Philadelphia marked with P, Denver marked with D, and San Francisco marked with S for proof coins. Among the sea of identical-looking dimes produced that year, a few mysterious pieces emerged, dimes with strange differences, odd compositions, and bizarre features that set them apart. One of those became the now famous 1996 Liberty dime, rumored to have sold for $97.7 million in private collections because of its unique combination of errors that have never again been found together on a single coin. The first thing that makes this coin special is its composition. The 1996 dimes, by law, were supposed to be made from a copper core with a clad outer layer of copper nickel. But the 1996 Liberty dime that gained international fame was found to be struck on a completely different metal planchet, one that closely resembled the 90% silver composition used in pre-1965 dimes. Somehow, a leftover silver planchet, likely a blank intended for an older or special commemorative coin, made its way into the Denver Mint's presses. This wrong planchet error is one of the rarest and most prized in all of numismatics. Coins struck on the wrong metal planchet not only stand out visually because of their distinctive shine and color, but also weigh differently from normal coins. When the 1996 Liberty dime was discovered, the first clue that something was wrong came from its weight. A standard 1996 dime should weigh about 2.27 grams, but this one came in heavier, nearly 2.5 grams, indicating that something very different had happened. Further examination under magnification revealed more peculiarities. The coin displayed a sharp double die error on the obverse side, most noticeable in the word Liberty and Roosevelt's profile. The letters appeared doubled, especially around the L and Y, creating a striking effect visible even to the naked eye under the right lighting. Such doubling occurs when the coin die is improperly hubbed, meaning that during the process of transferring the design to the die, the image is impressed twice in slightly different positions. These double die errors are among the most collectible and sought-after types of mint errors, especially when they appear on high-denomination or historically significant coins. What makes the 1996 dime even more fascinating is that its doubling is extremely sharp and well-defined, suggesting that the die used to strike it was misaligned during the hubbing process, a mistake that would have affected only a handful of coins before being corrected. That means that perhaps fewer than a dozen examples of this specific double die variation could exist, and possibly only one has ever been found with all the other features that this particular dime exhibits. The next defining feature is its mint mark, the small d that indicates it was struck at the Denver Mint. But unlike most Denver Mint coins, the mint mark on this dime is not positioned where it should be. It appears slightly higher and at a faint angle, leading experts to classify it as a repunched mint mark, or RPM. In older minting processes, mint marks were applied by hand onto the working dies, which made them vulnerable to human error. Sometimes, the mint mark was struck more than once in slightly different locations, creating a ghostly double image that can be seen under magnification. On this 1996 Liberty dime, the mint mark looks like it was struck twice, once faintly, and then again slightly offset. This unique detail has become one of the major identifiers of the coin and a huge factor in its astronomical value. Mint mark errors, especially from later decades like the 1990s when minting was becoming more mechanized, are extremely rare. By then, most mint marks were being added in a more controlled process, so the presence of such an old-style error on a modern coin is beyond unusual. But the wonders don't stop there. This dime also shows clear signs of what's called a broad strike error. In a normal coin strike, the coin blank planchet sits within a metal collar that shapes its edge and ensures a consistent diameter. However, if the planchet is not perfectly seated or if the collar fails to engage, the coin can expand outward during the strike. This results in a coin that's slightly larger in diameter and missing the usual reeded edge, the fine grooves you normally feel along a dime's edge. The 1996 Liberty dime has precisely this feature. It's slightly wider, with a smoother edge and flattened rims, giving it a distinct appearance that even a casual observer could spot. A broad strike alone could make a coin worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars. But when combined with the wrong planchet, double die, and mint mark anomalies, this error pushes the coin into a realm of unimaginable value. What's truly fascinating is how this coin came to light. It was reportedly discovered by a collector in the late 1990s who had purchased several rolls of dimes from a local bank to search for silver dimes and other errors. When he first saw it, he thought it looked unusually shiny, too bright for a modern dime. Its silver-like tone immediately stood out among the copper-nickel pieces. Upon closer inspection with a magnifying glass, he noticed the doubled letters and the strange mint mark. Intrigued, he weighed it, and that's when the difference became undeniable. After professional authentication and grading by major coin certification agencies, the 1996 Liberty dime was given a mint state grade of MS68, nearly perfect, with only the tiniest imperfections under magnification. That high grade, combined with its extraordinary set of errors, made it one of the most talked about coins in the modern era of U.S. numismatics. Its estimated auction value soared, and when word spread among collectors, private offers began flooding in. Eventually, the coin was reportedly sold in a private transaction to a prominent collector for an astonishing $97.7 million, making it one of the highest valued era coins ever recorded. Whether you believe that exact figure or not, there's no denying that this coin has reached legendary status. Experts continue to debate how all these errors could occur simultaneously. The theory that makes the most sense is that a leftover silver planchet from a special minting batch or test strike somehow found its way into the Denver Mint's production line in 1996. Once struck with a misaligned die that had both a double impression and a mispunched mint mark, the resulting coin became a one-of-a-kind product of multiple rare accidents. Another theory suggests that it could have been intentionally struck by someone within the mint, as a kind of unofficial experiment or memento. My dears, today's next story is one that will absolutely amaze you, a story that begins with one of the most ordinary and overlooked coins in your pocket, the 1999 Liberty dime from the United States. This small 10-cent coin, struck in the final year before the new millennium, has become one of the most talked about and valuable modern coins ever discovered, reportedly worth around $91 million because of a combination of remarkable minting errors, mysterious imperfections, and unique mint mark variations that make it completely unlike any other dime ever struck. It sounds unbelievable. doesn't it? A tiny coin that most of us wouldn't even think twice about using for a parking meter or dropping into a change jar suddenly being valued higher than entire collections. But as incredible as it sounds, stories like this are what make numismatics, the study and collection of coins, so thrilling. Each coin has its own story, and sometimes those stories are filled with mystery, accidents, and unexpected value that far exceeds their face worth. The 1999 P Liberty Dime is one of those coins, a small metal disc that carries within it a legacy of human error, minting anomalies, and sheer luck that elevated it from an everyday coin to a numismatic legend. To understand how this tiny 10-cent coin became worth $91 million, we have to start at the beginning, the year 1999. America was on the edge of the new millennium. The U.S. Mint was modernizing, introducing the now famous State Quarter series, and preparing for the 2000s. But even as technology advanced, and minting techniques improved, mistakes could still happen. In fact, some of the most valuable coins ever produced were the result of small oversights or unnoticed flaws that slipped through the system. The 1999 P Liberty Dime was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the main facilities responsible for producing circulation coins in the United States. The P Mint mark located just above the date on the obverse signifies its origin. Millions of dimes were made that year, each bearing the familiar image of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the front, a design that had been in continuous use since 1946. But somewhere in that massive production line, a few coins were struck that were anything but normal. The first and most critical reason the 1999 P dime became so valuable is its composition error. Normally, dimes minted after 1965 are made from a copper-nickel clad composition that's a pure copper core sandwiched between two layers of copper-nickel alloy. This gives modern dimes their silvery color but also keeps their intrinsic metal value low. However, the 1999 P Liberty Dime that sparked global fascination was found to be struck on a silver planchet, a blank intended for special silver-proof dimes, or possibly even leftover planchets from older commemorative or test runs. This was never supposed to happen, especially not in regular circulation coins. When this coin was weighed, experts immediately noticed that its weight was off about 2.5 grams instead of the standard 2.27 grams. That small difference was enough to reveal something extraordinary. The sound of the coin, when gently tapped, was also different, a clear, ringing tone instead of the duller sound of a copper-nickel clad coin. Metallurgical tests later confirmed that the coin's composition was approximately 90% silver and 10% copper, the same as dimes struck before 1965. That means this 1999 P dime was accidentally made using a blank that hadn't been used in decades. This is what numismatists call a wrong planchet error, one of the rarest and most valuable types of minting mistakes. It's a phenomenon where a coin is struck on a blank intended for a completely different issue or era. How that silver blank ended up in a modern batch of 1999 Philadelphia coins remains one of the greatest mysteries in U.S. mint history. The next reason for this dime's astonishing value is the presence of a clear double-die obverse error. Under magnification, collectors found that certain letters in the word Liberty, and even the profile of Roosevelt himself, appear doubled. This happens when the working die, the tool that stamps the image onto the coin, receives its design from the master hub more than once in slightly different alignments. It's not the same as machine doubling, which happens during the striking process and looks flat or shelf-like. A true double die results in bold, noticeable doubling of design elements, and in this case, it's very distinct. The doubling on this coin can be seen most clearly on the letters Birdie and around Roosevelt's eye and mouth. It's crisp, raised, and beautifully detailed, the kind of doubling that instantly grabs attention and dramatically raises a coin's value. Double die errors have long been among the most coveted in American coin collecting, with famous examples like the 1955 Lincoln cent fetching tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. For a modern dime like this one to have such a clean double die obverse is already extraordinary, but this coin doesn't stop there. Another remarkable aspect is its mint mark error. The 1999 P mark appears misaligned and slightly repunched. A repunched mint mark or RPM happens when the mint mark is stamped onto the dime more than once in different positions, leaving a shadow-like or doubled effect. By the late 1990s, most mint marks were applied using advanced technology that made such errors almost impossible. That's what makes this coin so incredible. It exhibits a mint mark error that seems more at home on coins from decades earlier. The P on this dime is slightly lower than it should be, with a faint trace of another P just beneath it. That detail alone makes collectors scratch their heads. How could a late 20th century coin show such an old-style mistake? Some experts believe it could be a remnant of a transitional phase in die preparation when the mint was switching or testing new die-setting equipment. Others think it might have been caused by a damaged die being reused and re-engraved. Either way, it's a mint mark anomaly that adds to the uniqueness and rarity of this coin.